They told you that being single means you're incomplete, that you're missing something. Know your value, that you're waiting. But what if I told you they had it backwards? Everywhere you look, there's a message being pushed into your consciousness. Find someone, settle down, complete yourself. Like being alone is a disease that needs curing, a problem waiting for a solution. And if you're single, society treats it like you're deficient. Your family asks when you're going to find someone. Your friends start wondering what's wrong with you. Coworkers give you that sympathetic look at company events when you show up alone. And deep down, even you start to internalize the question, am I behind? Am I broken? Am I missing out on something everyone else figured out? But here's what nobody tells you, what nobody wants to tell you, because it threatens the entire narrative we've been sold since childhood. Being single isn't a waiting room. It's not a layover between relationships. It's not some temporary state of incompleteness. Being single is a forge, and in that forge, something happens that cannot happen anywhere else. You become whole, not half of something searching for its other half, not dependent on external validation, not incomplete, whole. And that wholeness, that's what they don't want you to discover. Because a man who is complete within himself is dangerous, not dangerous in a harmful way. Dangerous in the way that threatens the systems designed to keep you distracted, dependent, and controllable. Today we're going to talk about why being single is not just okay, it's better. Not forever, not for everyone, but for right now, for this moment in your life, it might be the most important thing you do. And by the end of this, you're going to understand why the strongest version of yourself can only be forged in solitude. Let's be brutally honest about something most people refuse to acknowledge. Most relationships don't make people happier, they make them distracted. They provide an illusion of progress, a sense of moving forward in life, but beneath the surface, something else is happening, something nobody wants to admit. Most people enter relationships not because they're ready, not because they've done the work on themselves, but because they're running from loneliness, running from the silence of their own thoughts, running from the discomfort of being alone with who they actually are, running from the hard, unglamorous work of becoming someone they respect. And when you enter a relationship from that place of escape rather than completion, you're not building something, you're creating a dependency. You bring all your unresolved issues into that relationship, your insecurities, your need for validation, your fear of abandonment, your anxiety about not being enough, and you expect another person to fix it, to fill the void, to make you feel whole. But here's the problem with that approach. Another person cannot complete you. They can only distract you from your incompleteness temporarily, and eventually, that distraction fades. The honeymoon phase ends, reality sets in, and you're left with the same emptiness you started with, except now you've got someone else's expectations to manage. The movie sold us a lie, a beautiful, compelling, completely destructive lie. That love completes you, that the right person makes everything better, that finding your soulmate is the ultimate achievement in life. That relationship status equals success, fulfillment, and happiness. And social media has weaponized this narrative. Every day, your feed is flooded with engagement announcements, couple photos, romantic getaways, relationship milestones, and each one sends a subtle message. This is what winning looks like. This is what you're missing. This is what you should be chasing. So you start to internalize it. You start measuring your life against these curated highlight reels. You think everyone else is moving forward. Everyone else has figured it out. Why am I stuck? What's wrong with me? But here's what they don't show you. Behind every perfect Instagram couple, there's a reality that never makes it to the grid, compromises that slowly suffocate individuality, conversations that never happen because someone's afraid of conflict, resentments that build like pressure in a sealed container, dreams that get abandoned because they don't fit into the relationship, and two people who gradually lose themselves trying to be what the other person needs them to be. This isn't cynicism. This is observation. Because the brutal truth is this: if you don't know who you are when you're alone, you will lose yourself in every relationship you enter. You'll adapt, you'll compromise, you'll mold yourself to fit someone else's expectations. And 5 years later, you'll wake up next to someone and realize you don't recognize the person you've become. That's not love. That's erosion. That's dependence masquerading as partnership. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your brain when you're single and it feels uncomfortable. There's a legitimate psychological and evolutionary reason why being alone triggers anxiety. For most of human history, being isolated from the tribe meant death. No protection, no resources, no survival. So your brain developed a powerful fear response to isolation. It's hardwired into your nervous system. When you're alone, your amygdala sends distress signals. Your body floods with stress hormones. You feel uncomfortable, anxious, restless, and your brain interprets this as, something is wrong, fix this immediately. But here's the critical distinction that changes everything. Your brain cannot differentiate between being alone and being lonely. Being alone is a state. It's objective. It's simply the absence of other people in your immediate environment. Being lonely is a feeling. It's subjective. It's an emotional response to perceived isolation. And here's what most people never realize. You can be surrounded by people and feel crushingly, devastatingly lonely. And you can be completely alone and feel profoundly, deeply at peace. The difference isn't the number of people around you. It's your relationship with yourself. Most people never learn this distinction because they never sit with themselves long enough to discover it. Every moment of potential solitude gets filled. Scrolling, Netflix, gaming, texting, dating apps, anything to avoid the silence, anything to escape the discomfort of being alone with their own thoughts. And especially, they fill it with relationships. Because a relationship provides something that feels like purpose. Someone to text throughout the day, someone to make plans around, someone to think about when you wake up. It gives structure to your existence. But here's the question nobody wants to ask. What happens when that structure is built on avoidance instead of intention? What happens when the relationship isn't about genuine connection, but about not wanting to face yourself? It crumbles, and when it does, you're left with something worse than being single. You're left broken because now you're alone and you still haven't learned how to be at peace with yourself. Except now you've also got the added pain of loss, the disruption of identity, and the reinforced belief that you need someone else to be okay. Here's what the ancient Stoics understood that modern society has forgotten. Solitude isn't loneliness, it's freedom. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, wrote this from the battlefield. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. Think about that. The Emperor of Rome, surrounded by advisors, soldiers, senators, and subjects, understood that true peace isn't found in the presence of others, it's found within. But you cannot access that internal peace if you're constantly running from it. Being single gives you something increasingly rare in modern life. Time with yourself. Not time to kill, not time to endure until the next distraction arrives. Time to build. Time to discover who you actually are beneath all the conditioning, expectations, and social programming. Because here's what happens when you're truly alone. When you stop performing for others and sit with yourself. You stop pretending. The mask comes off. You stop being who you think you're supposed to be. You stop shaping yourself to fit someone else's expectations, someone else's needs, someone else's vision of who you should be. And in that rawness, in that unfiltered solitude, you start asking the questions that actually matter. Who am I when nobody's watching? What do I actually want from life? Not what I was told to want. Not what looks impressive on paper. Not what will get likes and approval. What do I genuinely want? What are my values? Not inherited values. Not values I adopted to fit in. My values. What am I willing to sacrifice for? What principles am I unwilling to compromise? What kind of man do I want to become? These questions are uncomfortable. They require brutal honesty. They demand introspection that most people avoid their entire lives. But this is where transformation begins. Not in the comfort of companionship, in the discomfort of solitude. And you cannot find these answers in a relationship, because relationships inherently require compromise. You're always negotiating between what you want and what they need. You're always adjusting, adapting, accommodating. And that's not wrong. That's what partnership is. But if you don't have a solid foundation first, if you don't know who you are and what you stand for, you'll compromise yourself into someone you don't recognize. Let me reframe being single for you completely. Being single isn't about being alone. It's about becoming self-sufficient. It's about building a life so complete, so fulfilling, so genuinely yours that you don't need someone else to make it meaningful. You choose to share it, and that distinction changes everything. Most people enter relationships from scarcity, from incompleteness, from need. I need you to make me feel whole. I need you to validate me. I need you to give my life meaning. I need you to fix what's broken in me. But the strongest, healthiest, most resilient relationships, they're built from abundance, from completeness, from choice. I'm whole. You're whole. Let's build something together. And you cannot get to that place of abundance without first learning to be enough for yourself, without first proving to yourself that you can create meaning, purpose, and fulfillment in your own life. This is what being single teaches you. This is the forge. So what does being single actually give you that relationships cannot? Let me break it down into 3 transformative benefits that will fundamentally change your life trajectory. First, discipline without distraction. When you're single, your time is yours. Completely, uncompromisingly yours. No negotiations, no compromises, no balancing someone else's needs against your ambitions. You want to wake up at 5 in the morning and train? You do it. You want to spend 3 hours deep in focused work on your business? You do it. You want to dedicate an entire weekend to learning a new skill, reading, or building something? You do it. There's no guilt. No relationship maintenance, no emotional labor that splits your focus. And this focused intensity, this undistracted pursuit of self-improvement, this is where transformation happens. This is where ordinary men become exceptional. Not because they have more talent, not because they have more resources, but because they have more focus, more time, more energy directed entirely toward becoming who they're capable of becoming. Think about every great achievement in history, every breakthrough, every masterpiece. Behind it was someone who sacrificed distraction for discipline, someone who chose solitude over comfort, someone who understood that greatness requires singular focus. Second, emotional independence. Most people use relationships as emotional crutches. Bad day at work? Call your girlfriend for reassurance. Feeling anxious about the future? Need someone to tell you it'll be okay. Insecure about a decision? Need external validation before you can move forward. Feeling worthless? Need someone to convince you you're valuable. But when you're single, when there's no one to call, you learn to regulate yourself. You learn that you don't need someone else to tell you you're okay. You learn to sit with discomfort without immediately seeking comfort. You learn to process pain without numbing it. You learn to validate yourself. And this emotional self-sufficiency, this is the foundation of mental resilience. This is what separates men who crumble under pressure from men who thrive in chaos. Because when you know you can be okay alone, when you've proven to yourself that you can navigate darkness without someone holding your hand, you become unshakable. External circumstances lose their power over you. Other people's opinions lose their grip on your self-worth. You become emotionally independent, and emotional independence is freedom. Third, clarity of purpose. When you're alone, you can't hide from the big questions. What am I building? Where am I going? What matters to me? What legacy am I creating? What will I regret not doing? These questions are uncomfortable. They create existential anxiety. They force you to confront the gap between who you are and who you could be. But they're essential, because a life without purpose is just existence. It's going through motions. It's killing time until time kills you, and most people avoid this confrontation by filling their time with someone else, by making the relationship itself the purpose. But you face it, and in facing it, you find direction. You discover what you're actually here to do, not what society expects, not what your parents wanted. What you're here to do. And once you have that clarity, once you have that sense of purpose, everything changes. Your decisions become easier because you have a filter. Does this move me toward my purpose or away from it? Your confidence increases because you're no longer drifting. You're navigating, and your life starts to feel like yours. Here's the part that makes people uncomfortable. The part that challenges conventional wisdom so directly that most people reject it without consideration. The men who are single by choice, the men who are building in solitude, the men who have rejected the societal pressure to be in a relationship just for the sake of being in one, they're becoming dangerous. Not dangerous in a violent or harmful sense. Dangerous in the way that threatens mediocrity. Dangerous in the way that makes average uncomfortable. Because while everyone else is posting couple photos and going on dinner dates and having relationship drama and compromising their time and energy, you're in the gym at 6 in the morning. You're building your business late into the night. You're reading books that expand your mind. You're learning skills that increase your value. You're investing in yourself with an intensity that's only possible when you're not splitting your focus. And 5 years from now, you're going to be so far ahead of where you started. You're going to have built so much, grown so much, become so much more capable and confident and competent that the same people who pitied you for being single, who questioned what was wrong with you, who thought you were missing out, they're going to be asking how you did it. And the answer will be simple. You used the time they wasted. You built while they distracted themselves. You invested in becoming someone while they were busy looking for someone. This isn't arrogance. This is mathematics. Time is the most valuable resource you have. It's the only thing you can never get more of. And every hour you spend maintaining a relationship that's built on need rather than choice, every evening spent managing someone else's emotions, every weekend compromised away from your goals, that's time you're not spending on yourself, on your growth, on your purpose, on becoming the man you're capable of becoming. Now, let me be crystal clear about something before we conclude. This isn't about never being in a relationship. This isn't about rejecting love or connection or partnership. This isn't about becoming some isolated monk who lives alone forever. This is about sequence. This is about foundation. This is about doing the work on yourself first, so that when you do choose to build something with someone, you're building from strength, not from need, from completion, not from desperation, from abundance, not from scarcity. Because here's the ultimate truth. The quality of your relationships will never exceed the quality of your relationship with yourself. If you don't respect yourself, you'll tolerate disrespect from others. If you don't know your worth, you'll settle for people who don't see it. If you haven't built a life you're proud of, you'll resent anyone who enters it. But if you've done the work, if you've spent time alone building yourself into someone you respect, someone with clarity and purpose and emotional independence, then when you choose to let someone into your life, it's from a position of strength. You're not looking for someone to complete you. You're looking for someone who complements the complete person you've become. You're not seeking validation. You're offering partnership. You're not trying to fill a void. You're choosing to share abundance. And that's the foundation of something real, something lasting, something powerful. Being single isn't a deficit. It's an opportunity to build yourself without compromise, to know yourself without pretense, to become someone you actually respect when you look in the mirror. And when you're ready, when you're whole, when you've forged yourself in the fire of solitude, then you can choose to build something with someone else. Not because you need them, but because you choose them. And that choice, made from completeness rather than desperation, from strength rather than weakness, from intention rather than fear, that's what creates relationships that actually last. So stop rushing. Stop apologizing for being alone. Stop letting society convince you that your value is determined by your relationship status. Because the man you're becoming in this silence, in this focused intensity, in this uncomfortable but necessary solitude, he's worth the wait. He's worth the sacrifice. He's worth every moment you spend building him. And 5 years from now, when you look back at this moment, you won't regret the time you spent alone. You'll be grateful for it. Because that's when you became who you were always capable of becoming. Be honest with yourself. Are you single by choice or by fear? Are you running from relationships or running toward yourself? Drop your truth in the comments. And if this resonated with you, if you felt something shift while listening to this, watch the next video, because we're going to talk about what comes after you've built yourself, how to know when you're actually ready, and what to look for when you finally choose to build something with someone else. Until then, keep forging.